Welcome to Battles and Journeys, to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for those of you that have subscribed. Please go to my YouTube channel and hit subscribe, and hit that notification bell because I'll be sharing some other videos with you. I was just thinking tonight, and thank you for those of you that have already subscribed. I see some new subscribers coming. I need about 1,000 for me to go live. And right now I'm making some short videos, and I will be, many of you heard my story, and many of you have stories, male and females. You have stories, whether you were violated in the church or violated in your homes, but it left you traumatized. And I'm going to walk you through my process. And also, I'm going to tell you how I was traumatized and just how it had me in this pattern, this questioning and unraveling and trying to understand why, what, and but we're here, and I survived it. Many didn't survive. Again, Michael Tripp didn't survive his trauma, and I was just thinking tonight. This is going to be very short. I had a conversation with George Bloomer, and some of you heard the conversation. Some of you heard that phone call, and you heard bits and pieces, but I'm going to replay them, and then I'm going to share with you how I felt in that moment. It was a somewhat a sense of relief, because many people don't get an opportunity to speak to the person who violated them or who victimized them. So I had that opportunity. It was a level of freedom for me to be able to speak to a person who violated me. And so I thought about something after that phone call. George Bloomer texted me, and I want your opinion. I just want you to write what you think this was about, right? You've not heard everything, trust me. I'm going to be playing those clips, and I am going to line by line, and I'm going to really talk about it and how I felt. So after our conversation, now I'm going to show you this on my phone, but I don't know if you're going to see it, how it's going to show up on the camera. I'm not really that tech savvy, so maybe some of you can help me. And I'm going to be reaching out to some people to really help me with this whole YouTube thing. So after our conversation, it was a very long conversation. Some of you heard the conversation, but you've not really heard in details, or in detail, I'm sorry. You've not heard in detail. You've heard bits and pieces of it. But this is something he said to me. He's texted me the night of our conversation. This was April 17th, 2019. And then the next day, I received a text from George Bloomer. Now, I'm not trying to drag his name through the mud. However, I'm at a place in my life that I can call names. And there were a time that I wouldn't call names because I really wanted to deal with a system, but I have to call names. And the name is already out. So something he texts me, and this is what he said. He said, I just left your number in under the title Jimmy Battles, brother, friend, great conversation. This was on the Wednesday, April 17, 2019, when we had a conversation. One of the things that I did say to Larry Reed, because they're friends, great friends, and he was the one that contacted George Bloomer and said, hey, there's somebody that's accusing you of such and such, such and such, right? And then he was saying, no, that's not me. I didn't do anything to anybody. But then Larry sent him my picture, and I'll let you hear that conversation as well. And he sent him my picture, and he said, almost immediately, I remembered you. He said, you look a little older, but you still look the same. I remember. Let's have a conversation. So this is sort of going backwards because I'm letting you read a text. I blotted out his number. I'm letting you read a text that he sent to me. He sent me 2 text messages. He said, I just left your number in under the title Jimmy Battles, brother, friend, great conversation tonight. This is what he said. I want you to tell me, what do you think I want your opinion on this because he's kind of skated around a lot of things, right? So he wanted to say, I'm brother, I'm friend. Please do not use this on your any other channel. This is my personal property. He said, brother, friend, great conversation. That's what he said. And then the next day, he said, today is the beginning of the rest of your life, starting right now. That's the opening and closing of my show. And that's how I felt when I woke up this morning. Blessings of the Lord on you. Well, be that it may, this conversation. So a person that violated me and then turn around and try to minister to me or speak, even though it's years later, I think personally he should have left it at the conversation. And I think because after saying to Larry, if he's coming to do damage control, this is what I said to Larry. I said, if he's going to call me and do damage control, that's not going to be good. I'm going to go off. So tell me if you think this is damage control or trying to scrape over, or, here we go. This is it. He says, today, this is the beginning. You see that. I don't know how it shows on here because it's on camera. But if it shows backwards, work through it and then work with me because I'm still learning this process. He said, today is the beginning of the rest of your life, meaning we have finally had a conversation about the violation. But after having a conversation about the violation, please, for me, don't try to minister to me. You did that in a very unique way before. And it was a very perverted way, right? Because the devil had ministers too. I'm not calling him the devil. And during that time, and one of the things he said to me in conversation, and you'll get to hear this as well. You all have not heard this. He said people kept saying, well, you were on drugs at during that time. He said, F drugs. I'm not going to blame that on drugs. So I really want to talk about it because what happens to you when your violator or the person that traumatized you turn around and try to minister to you or try to make things okay? The only thing okay about it is, let's have a conversation. I want to start my healing process, but don't turn around and try to make things as if it's okay. I had someone ask me, well, he apologized, but y'all saw and heard the roller coaster apology, right? I remember when I saw your picture, almost immediately I remember. What is it that you remember after 30 years? What is it that you remember about me? See? So I'm not here to drag his name in the mud, but I got to kind of go backwards, and I want to hear your opinion on why do you think sending me this text message, and there's something else he said you'll be able to hear once I pull all of this together, it was still a sort of kind of cunning kind of way. Can I save your number? You'll hear that. I'll play it for you. So I just kind of want you to comment. Someone may say, well, don't you just forget it? I held on to it for 30 years. You don't get the opportunity to tell me to forget it. This is something that has traumatized me for many years. And I tried to be strong, or what I considered strong. I was really weak because I was holding on to it. Strength is speaking out. And I want to say to you that strength is speaking out, talking about it, speak up. When you go through the airports, and I'm in the airports quite a bit, it says, if you see something, say something. Why is it that the church can't go off of that? If you see something, say something. Maybe they're afraid because people will try to make believe, or they will ostracize them for saying something. We know these things happen, and we just refuse. The church itself won't address the pink elephant in the room. Because maybe it's somebody that they love that did the violation or traumatized somebody. Or maybe that person themselves have traumatized someone in their life. So I want to just sort of hear what you think and why you think. I know you can't speak for him, But why do you think a violator would turn around after they've had conversation? Which I'm blessed because I had the opportunity to speak to the person who violated me in a church, from a church perspective, where healing is supposed to take place from people who are influential or have influence, but turn around and use their influence, and then they violate and they cross lines. What do you do with that? What do I do with this text? After we had a conversation, yeah, I cried. I did. It was emotional because for the first time in years that I had an opportunity to speak to someone who violated me. And I carried that. And almost as if Larry Reed said it to me. He says, like you weren't breathing. And I wasn't breathing. I got that on recording as well, just in case someone tried to deny what they said, right? So, but it's not about that. For me, I want to reach out to those who have been, who's been violated, and they feel like they don't have a voice. And when I came out with my story, it was traumatizing. Think about it. 30 years of holding this in, and all of a sudden, boom, I started talking about it. And then on the flip side of it, those that couldn't make money off of my story continued to become injurious by their videos. Larry Reed, what's the other guy name? Unconscious TV, whatever that is. I understood what their plot was. It is to cover the victimizer, because a lot of people who empathize with victimizers are victimizers themselves. So they became more injurious because they were trying to protect the victimizer. What do you do with that? And because I open up my world to a group of people, and then they turned around and became more injurious. One couldn't make money off of it. I won't even call his name, but it doesn't matter because they just did not have the capacity to talk about my story. And I would say this to anyone: if my story is just as old as you, or almost as older than you, then you can't really, some people can't relate, right? Unless you have experienced it yourself. Either you believe it because you've experienced it yourself, or you know people who've had the experience with someone victimizing them, or that person has never experienced it before. So, or they've been victimizers themselves. Tell me what you think about these text messages. I want to hear your opinion on why would a victimizer. I get it. The day is the day of healing for you, or whatever it was on the text message. Today is the beginning of the rest of your life, starting right now. He was saying that's the opening and closing of my show. That's how I felt when I woke up this morning. Other words, to me, I interpreted as you've gotten over, you've had a chance to talk about or to speak with someone that you violated. There were many. I'm not the only one. Trust me, I'm not the only one. So my time is up, but just hit like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Tell me what you think about the text message. Now, I don't want you to disrespect disrespect each other. This is not about that. This is not that type of channel where we're not calling each other's name. We're not calling names. We're not belittling ourselves or becoming, we're not juvenile. We're not juvenistic. We're not juveniles. We're not going back to kindergarten where we're calling people names, right? Just be respectful, even to the person who wrote the text message. I believe people do change. I do. All right, let's chat later.